I've thoroughly enjoyed this roundtable. I learned an awful lot about how this industry is dealing with the digital challenge, how much that is changing the way they are looking at the world, and how dynamic that is, because no one feels they have the answer, that it's changing all the time. We had the printed press people who've been perhaps challenged with it for longer and have reached a point of maturity but are still evolving, and we've got clearly the people much more in the broadcast space who are dealing with new challenges day by day and evolving their model all the time, and it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
And one of the key messages was that there's a real lack of understanding about audiences. They're slow at spotting what they're doing and therefore reacting quickly. So what are some of the problems there?
Yeah, so I mean, again, I think the media people, the printed press people, are ahead of the curve there, much more so than people in broadcast. And people are starting to realise that this is a very much more dynamic environment. It changes how they create content. It changes some of the need for that content. There's the need to think about how the broadcast content is working with digital content. They were sharing some successes around the table, some things which are working more effectively than other things. And the key thing is that they're recognising there's a need to understand the consumer much more than they ever have done previously. We had people talking about relationship management, which they wouldn't have done a few years ago, which means there's a need for insight, which they don't currently have.
What are some of the benefits to getting this information?
Well, I think the benefits are in two clear areas. For the content creators, there's an understanding of how the content's consumed, so that they can actually create content which will engage with the consumer more effectively. Then, on the other hand, for advertisers who are demanding more effectiveness for their media spend, there's the whole point of understanding how consumers interact with the content so that they can target their spend more effectively, and not just throw money after a program which they don't really understand how it's going to reach their target consumer.
And why aren't they getting hold of this information?
It's not due to a shortage of data. I think, again, that came out today. People have plenty of data. There is simply not a tradition of investing in that data, analysing that data to understand the patterns, the behaviours that will actually give them the insights to help them tune content, tune advertising placement more effectively. So the biggest challenge is actually grappling with the data that they have and turning that into something valuable.
And so the metrics and the analytics are out there then?
The capability to do that, I think within this session we heard that people are doing some smart things around sort of audience engagement metrics and things like that, but they need to go a lot further in terms of some of the attitudinal stuff they will get by analysing the social media. So some of the examples that were given today around tweets running alongside live events. So there's a lot to be gained from analysing that data in more depth. There's a lot to be gained from just generally behaviourally tracking consumers online as they are consuming content, and to understand more how they're interacting with that content when their attention span runs out, so on and so forth.
And you can provide some of those solutions?
Yeah, so SAS is a specialist in analysing data. You know, we can take any type of data and make sense out of it. We have some specialist capabilities in the digital world, in areas like social media, in areas like customer behaviour tracking online. So we can follow people as they consume media. We can understand timings, we can understand even mouse movements. So, you know, when they're starting to look at other things on a page, we can turn that into sense for organisations so that they can take some better business decisions. Yeah.
And can you give some examples of the kind of information you've provided and how people have acted upon it?
With other organisations in other sectors, we've absolutely helped organisations tune their online advertising more effectively, so that they are identifying what people are doing with content on a website when they arrive, so that we can then go back to the source and direct advertising more effectively. We can help people tune the effectiveness of the engagement with a customer. So I mean, I think one of the things that came out today was a debate between whether content was king or ease of navigation at times. And I think it's a bit of both. Obviously, you've got to have the right content, but you also got to make it easy for the consumer to engage with it. So that's something that we very much provide for other organisations.